Evet, şimdi hemen birkaç duyurumuzu yine yapalım. Staj için bana yazan arkadaşlarımız oluyor. Teşekkür ediyorum. Bir ricam var, direkt buradan paylaşmış olayım. Hükümet ve Liderlik Okulu'na Instagram, bir arkadaşlarım şimdi aşağıda gösterirlerse e-mail adreslerini, staj başvurusu için Hükümet Liderlik Okulu'na e-mail atabilirsiniz. Bana da e-mail attıktan sonra yazabilirsiniz. Dolayısıyla önce bir oraya e-mailinizi atın, özgeçmişinizi. Hangi okulda okuyorsunuz, bölümünüz ne yapmak istiyorsunuz. Dolayısıyla HLO'nun adresine onu atın. Bana da başvurduğunuza dair bilgilerinizi yollayın. Arkadaşlarımız zaten hemen değerlendirmeye alacaklar. Bu bir. İkincisi, siyaset okulunu anlatırken yarım kaldı. Bir kez daha söyleyeyim. 9'una karar verdik arkadaşlar. 9, hatam yok değil mi? Hello. Bu arada Sayın Başkonsolosumuz da geldi. Hemen davet ediyorum kendisini. Ayın 9'unda başlıyoruz. Son dersten önce bir kez daha hatırlatacağım. Ona göre hepinizin hatırında olsun. Diplomat okulu biter bitmez siyaset okuluna başvurabilirsiniz. Vallahi ben de kaçırdım herhalde. Orada ses biraz dağıldı. Ben de hatırlamıyorum. Durum bu. Ben Sayın Başkonsolosu ec.bau.edu.tr arkadaşlar. Hello.
Good morning.
Nice to see you as usual.
Nice to be on here again as usual.
Thank you so much. Değerli arkadaşlar, we have a guest here today who's not only a Consul General of Denmark, but also a great friend of our university, great friend of mine. She's always so helpful about any kind of educating education program. So she plays a tremendous role in our system, actually. So once again, welcome.
Thank you for the words.
Now, we have 40 minutes. As you know, you are familiar to the system. Now, before everything, today I always wanted to talk with everyone, but unfortunately, the time was not enough. So I want to bring up the last question to the first, and I want to talk a little bit about it. As you know, the current situation about the pandemic. What happens is, during our last talk around, I think it was April-ish, something like that, either April or May. When we talk about that, you know, we were in the middle of, in the heart of the pandemic. So we didn't know so much what to do, how to handle. And every country had a different way of approaching with the pandemic. And you said that you shut down certain parts, even the neighbor countries, then you open it, etc., etc. Now, we are talking about, we passed through the summer. We always hope for doing this face-to-face, but unfortunately, the numbers are not as we hoped for. It went even higher. So the first question, as a diplomat, with the perspective of the world. Two, as a perspective of Denmark, how would you see the upcoming situation by considering what we talked before, the pandemic and your country? This is the first question. And definitely the second question, every country is challenging about which vaccine is better, which vaccine is better, which one is the right one, is Chinese one is good, how about the Russian one, the other one, etc. So what is the stand of Denmark about the vaccine issue, how you guys are thinking about handling it, and what is the social aspect of it? Like, if it's gonna be free, you will offer people everything they will pick, or what else? So let's start with this, Madam Consul General.
Thank you so much. Not a very nice question to start with, I must say, but Burak, you're my friend, so I will try and answer this the best I can.
Please.
And it had a positive effect on the numbers, and during the summer things went back to pretty much normal, but then again in August, September we saw the numbers start going up again, and after that the Danish government has introduced a number measures and restrictions to get control of the virus again. Unfortunately, the numbers, especially in Copenhagen, are now very high again. So we have requested that people do not meet up in big groups for Christmas, which is of course very onerous to the Danish families, because Christmas is our big yearly feast. And there, when you see the family and you gather up in normally a much larger group. So we are all considering right now how to handle that situation, not to put ourselves or any of the people we love in danger, and not to put too much of a burden on the Danish society. The Danish borders are open for business, which is really important to us. So anybody with a business meeting or an errand in Denmark are very welcome to enter, but anybody but Danish nationals need to have a clean COVID-19 test before entering the country. So that's the measure we have put on entering. Then we haven't closed down as such, not as we see in Turkey right now. The bars and restaurants and cafes are still open, but they have to close at 10. And there are strict rules for how many people you can be in supermarkets and public places at the same time. You also now have to wear a mask. This is a pretty new requirement for Denmark, where here in Turkey you have had that all along, also in public space. In Denmark, you don't have to wear the mask when you're outside, but if you enter any kind of public area that is confined, like a supermarket or a mall or a restaurant, you have to wear the mask, and you can take it off when you sit down. So pretty much the measures that Turkey has had introduced from the beginning, we have now also had in place for the last couple of months. And we do hope that this will have a positive impact on the numbers, so we see a decrease pretty soon, because otherwise there is fear that this will have an impact on the capacities of the hospitals in our country. But we remain positive, and in respect of the vaccine, I'm not a doctor, so I will not tell you which vaccine is the best, because I simply don't have the background to say that. But I can tell you that right now Denmark is negotiated with, and have bought a lot of vaccines, I think from the US and the UK, but I'm not 100% sure about this. But what I know for sure is that it will be free for the Danish population, and the aim is to have everybody vaccinated, preferably at least 90% plus, because otherwise the effect of the vaccination will not be there. And we will start with the people in the risk groups, so elderly people, people with lung diseases, and the hospital staff. So anybody working in the front line, like nurses, hospital cares, doctors, will be offered the vaccines first, so they are safe to take care of the rest of us if we should have the need to go to hospital. Yeah.
The schools.
Sorry?
The schools in Denmark.
Schools just closed, actually, up until now. So the school closed in March, from 16 March to after Easter. All the schools were closed. And after Easter, they gradually started opening. And then they have been full opened up until last week, where now it's recommended that most schooling, at least for the elderly kids and the universities, and that is online. The primary school kindergartens, they're still open, both because it's so much more of a burden to the kids to do online education, but and it's good for them to go out and meet their friends, but it's also a big burden on the parents that are now mostly working from home. If the children are there during the day, it's very difficult if you are two parents working from home and having two kids running around or having to be homeschooled. So there are various reasons for keeping the primary schools open. And I think that will probably remain the case. But universities and the high schools are open to some degree, but a lot of them are closed down for 3 days because of incidents of COVID-19 that happens on the school. And one class is closed down. A classmate in his Spanish class that had corona. So now he's in quarantine and waiting to have a test tomorrow. Hopefully he will be fine. My niece is in the same situation. We all have a lot of friends and family that are in this situation. And I think we just have to wait, take care of ourselves and each other, and then hope that come the new year, these vaccines will start to be offered across the world, and that way bring down the pandemic to a level where we can start having a normal life again. And I totally echo your comment to the Bangladeshi ambassador that this new normal, that's not a normal I would like to have anyway. You know, I was listening in, so much agree. I want my old normal back, to be able to hug my friends and family and see people go and visit.
You know, when I say this, they keep on telling me I'm out of time. Like I'm not following the time anymore. I'm telling people like this is happening right now is not normal. Seriously not normal. And I don't want this to be our new normal. I want to fix it. But I don't know how to fix it. I'm not a medical man. But I'm going to ask one more pandemic question, then we're going to move to the other topics. But I'm asking to you as a friend, not as a consul general, maybe as a diplomat, but I don't know if I'm wrong. Denmark shut down, the numbers raised. We put masks, we shut down. Know what they do, the numbers raised. You know, pretty much, if you are giving the numbers right, everybody's numbers raised, right? So whatever you do, we couldn't stop it. I mean, imagine what we were talking with you, right? In May, we said that hopefully this thing is gonna be over at the end of summer. Now we are back again to January. My God, like it's higher and higher. So looks like the only way is the vaccine. But where do you think we made a mistake as an overall, as the world? Like, we tried everything, but almost everybody was unsuccessful. I'm not specifically talking about one country, because you remember I talked with you the last time. It is not something we should fight alone as a countries. We have to fight together as a globe, because that's the only way to finish this. Do you think diplomatically we made the wrong approach by thinking this as a local problem? Like every country tried to battle with this virus alone and in domestic way, in their own preemptive strikes against this. But when you look at that in a global level, same old, same old. So what do you think? Did we find the right way to approach it?
Well, it's a big question, and I must say we need probably to be a year or so on the other side of the vaccines having an effect to be fully able to analyze what was the best working method, because you know, it will be easy to look at how many dead people, what was the pressure on the hospital, the hospitals, and these kind of things. And I must say, you know, even though the numbers raised again in Denmark, I think this is also because it you know, it's cold now and the virus lives much better inside, and everybody's inside and in closed rooms again, but we haven't seen any crisis in our hospital situation, inshallah, and I really don't hope that that this will happen. And so I think you know, excuse me, you know, countries will have to evaluate their efforts when they see what was the actual ability for the hospitals to act and how many people died that should not have died during this pandemic. So we need to probably wait a bit to fully evaluate this. But I think there are some countries that have done better than others, no naming anyone's. Yeah, so it's this working together. I think that's a really good point, and I do think that the multi did not manage neither on an EU level or an United Nations level to come up with agreed methods or measurements, and everybody had their own thoughts. But I simply don't think that the governments had the bandwidth to do more than they did, because just tackling your domestic situation is so burdensome on any government in any country in the world, than to also have the capacity to look outside and actually think multilateral. I simply don't think it was possible. You know, the EU tried when the pandemic was then going the right way in the summertime, tried to come up with mutual travel restrictions, and then the numbers starting to increase again, and then that didn't work very well either. So I don't think these kind of crises allow for this, unfortunately. But where we did work together was on all the cross-border initiatives for finding vaccines. And I think here you saw some really entrepreneurial partnerships across borders, between companies, between countries, to develop the vaccine, which is also why there are several vaccines, I think, out there now, because we did actually allow for good international cooperation in that field.
Now, let's finish the pandemic. I'm serious here. I mean, I have to ask this, but I don't like to talk about it, to be honest. Like, it destroyed our life. I hate that. Anyway, so let's close the topic. Now, Denmark, Turkey. What are the relationships, trade, political, social, possible future? What is going on between Denmark and Turkey?
A lot is going on between Denmark and Turkey, and Denmark really values the friendship with Turkey, and really finds that Turkey is an important partner for us in many respects. If we take the trade side first, Turkey is the 16th largest export market for Denmark, so in the top 20 of the countries we do trade with. We just recently had a joint economic committee, Minister of Trade in Ankara, your Minister of Trade, and our Foreign Minister in Copenhagen, who's also the Minister for Foreign Trade. Very successful. It was online, and we had more than 200 stakeholders from Turkey and Denmark joining the trade part of the discussions. And here we agreed that trade should be much bigger between our countries, and that we should do various initiatives to make sure that this happens within the next years. We have since 2015 had a very good relationship with the Ministry of Energy in Ankara, and I think I've talked about this before in one of our talks, the Danish Energy Agency in Copenhagen, to work to introduce district energy in Turkey. And district energy is basically distributing the energy in a more efficient way. And you can put any kind of energy behind that system of, it's basically just digging down pipes in the ground that will then heat the houses from a central point, instead of heating the houses domestic boilers or gas boilers or oil boilers or whatever houses used to have before. Here you can take the surplus heat, for example, from any kind of factory, and you can steer that into water in these pipes, and it becomes hot water, and it then heats up the houses. It's super smart. Denmark is now 99% heated in Copenhagen by this, and the whole country is more than 60% heated by district energy. And this has a huge effect of spending of energy. And so from an energy efficiency point of view, this is also a very good idea for Turkey. And Turkey has also seen that and reached out to Denmark for this government-to-government relationship that is now also being expanded into offshore wind. And we are looking to see how we can expand the Turkish wind farming capacity to be even larger. Right now, you have a huge potential also for onshore wind still left, but the offshore wind potential is quite attractive. So we are also working with the Turkish government on this. And we have a number of large Danish companies that are providing technologies for these green areas that Turkey is also very eager to enter into. And, you know, the biggest cost on the Turkish national budget is importing energy from Russia and the Middle East. And these kind of initiatives can bring down dramatically the cost of energy to Turkey. So I'm very happy to have this dialogue with the country and to work to introduce a more sustainable Turkey going forward.
Just a quick question about this. I mean, I want to learn a little bit more about the energy issue, but how applicable is that to Turkey by considering the population, by considering the infrastructure? I mean, we are definitely not the same exact, structure with Denmark. Population, as I said, infrastructure. There's a lot of differences between two countries. So, question one: how do you think it is a real applicable thing? And the investment, because when you look at the investment numbers, it's always better sometimes to buy from outside. So how would you consider it? I'm asking this question to you because I have no idea about the numbers. So you know better than me, definitely. Just curiosity.
So Turkey is 80% urbanized already. And this kind of heating structure is very suitable for urbanized, highly dense and urbanized areas. Because you can take, for example, a thermal plant, the hot air that comes out of the chimney of that thermal plant can then be directed into these pipes and heat up a whole city area. And so this is very interesting when you think about especially building new housing areas, because then you can put the pipes in from the beginning. But it's also perfectly possible to put into already urbanized areas. And the payback time of these kind of investments, I don't know the numbers by heart, but they're very attractive. Because, if you look at both the CO2 effect that it has in using less gas and oil and coal, and also looking at the foreign currency deficit that Turkey has right now, and the effect it will have on not having to import this much oil and gas that you're doing right now to heat your country. And actually, you can start by just taking the coal-fired power plant and use the surplus heat from that and put it into piping. And with that, heat up maybe 30% more houses like this. So there's a big interest among the Turkish municipalities on this. And we also have in Denmark different kinds of financing opportunities, especially the Danish Export Credit Agency. And they are the foundation. They are very eager to work with Turkey on this and introduce these kind of energy efficient measurements. There are also other technologies that can be used for energy efficiency, like insulation housing and new refurbishing of houses with new windows and new kind of energy efficiency measurements. But it's our view that looking at district heating in Turkey has a real potential. And I think that's also why the ministry in Ankara is very interested in talking to us and really wants to know about this technology.
Education. Now, this is important. A couple of minutes ago, as you know, we were together with the Consul General of Holland, Netherlands. We keep on using all of them at the same time. And the possibilities of studying Turkish students in Holland, we talk about, right? It is familiar. The Turkish students are familiar to study in Holland more. Why? Because there's a lot of Turkish families over there. They might have their relatives. And so pretty much that's already a bridge between Netherlands and Turkey about the education. Now, especially I'm talking this in a college level, master's level, or even PhD level, even postdoc level, like starting from university and up. If a Turkish student would like to go to have an education in Denmark, what is the system? Does the system welcomes everyone, or it is a little bit more strict? Language, how does it work? Is it English speaking or anything else? Can you give us a brief explanation about the students who would like to go and study in Denmark?
First of all, I will say that we have a strong Turkish community in Denmark too. We have more than 70,000 Turkish families living people living in Denmark. that descends from the guest workers we invited up to work with us in the 70s. And they're very well integrated, and they're really good students. The second and third generation of these Turkish families are doing really well in the Danish system. So there's also family and friends to contact for a lot of the students that want to go to Denmark. It's very simple, actually, because we have a large curriculum in English. And if you go to the webpage called studyindenmark.dk, you find all the information you need about the programs in English. And the only catch is that if you're outside the EU, you have to pay for it. But there are various scholarships that you can apply for, and also the Erasmus program is quite strong in Denmark. So it's also possible to get an exchange year in Denmark through the Erasmus program. But it comes with a price in the sense that there is a tuition fee to be paid, and then of course you have to think about housing and living in Denmark, which is a really expensive country. So in that way, unfortunately, we are not as welcome as our Dutch friends because we have decided that any student coming from outside the EU will have to pay for attending these kind of university educations. But then again, if you can find scholarships or if you have the opportunity to go, it's open. You can apply, and it's quite easy to enter, and the programs are pretty highly rated. But again, go to studyindenmark.dk, and if there's something there that doesn't make sense, send me an email or give me a ring. My email is on our website. I'm always happy to answer emails from your students, which I do frequently, as they're really kind to ask me questions. And I do try to answer as many as I can. And from a personal perspective, I think Denmark would benefit from getting more Turkish students because the Turkish students that do travel abroad are very skilled and very interested in learning and will contribute to the Danish society. So I definitely would welcome anybody who's interested to check out the webpage or give me a ring.
Now, Khalid Nunat. Şimdi, what I want to say is, there's a lot of parts of the world, like Jebel Tarık, for instance, Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, etc. They have special relationships with certain countries, independent, semi-independent, special situation, etc. But there's an island that I know, a very big, huge, and I think the largest island in the world. It is icy but sunny. It is a different place. And when you look at the world map, you can find the ancient name I just mentioned a couple minutes ago. The Greenland is the biggest thing in the map, right? And it has a special relationship with Denmark. It's part of Denmark. But in 1990s, I think there was a referendum to get a little bit more independence or something like that. I'm not a big expert on Greenland, but I remember that, referendum. So can you tell us a little bit about this huge land? What is your exact relationship with Greenland? Is it semi-independent? What are the things? Because this is something which I want to ask you all the time. Unfortunately, we didn't have time. We always talk about other things. But now, before our topics are over, I want to, dive in and talk about this. Greenland in world politics, Greenland in Denmark politics, Greenland in Greenland politics.
Well, the last Greenland in Greenland politics, I will leave to the people from Greenland to discuss that. But Greenland in world politics and Greenland in Danish politics, first, Greenland is part of the Danish kingdom, the Kingdom of Denmark, which is comprising Greenland, the Faroe Islands, and Denmark. And
repeat again: Denmark, Faroe Islands,
the Kingdom of Denmark. And Greenland has independent ruling, so they have what we call self-ruling. So they decide themselves, but foreign politics is shared with Denmark. So we in the Kingdom of Denmark, the foreign politics are decided, are decided there, and that's probably the biggest. It's not a challenge, but that's the issue basically, that we're sharing our foreign politics, because Greenland, as you know, have become very popular due to the geopolitical situation, the geopolitical place in the world of Greenland as a huge island, due to the thought that there might be very interesting natural resources in Greenland or in Greenland. So we are faced with a lot of interest from both sides of the world, basically, both from the Americans and from the Russians. But so far, we are keeping a very good relationship with the people of Greenland. They're a very important part of our kingdom. And we are having, I think, a very well-functioning and not that problematic relationship, regarding our foreign policy. And I'm not in the position to have visited Greenland yet, but this is very high on my wish list. And my kids tell me, how come we've never visited Greenland? It's part of Denmark. We've been to so many interesting places in the world. Like we lived in Bangladesh for 3 years and so much of Southeast Asia. But why haven't we even been to our own country? So I definitely have to do something about that at some point. And I would love to visit Greenland. My husband has been there several times, and it's supposed to be a very, very beautiful place on earth. People of Greenland are, Danish, fellow Danes, Danish kingdom fellows, or what we would call them. And we really appreciate that.
Now, the question, the kingdom. Now, in Turkey, obviously, our students have seen a lot of European countries, democracies. They have their prime ministers, their parliaments, their consul generals, but also kings. The word of the kings, the queens, the prince, it keeps on surrounding. Denmark is one of them. So you are a kingdom, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us the decision-making process? Is it like England? Is it like some other country? So how the kingdom works in your country? What is the decision-making process? And the crown, how the crown involves in the decision-making process, if it does, constitutionally, of course, I'm speaking. Can you tell us about the system of Denmark a little bit?
Yes, it's very easy, because Denmark is a true democracy, and we got our first constitution in 1848. I think it's really embarrassing that I'm not 100% sure on that, but many years ago, and ever since we have had democratic elected governments, and we have a very strong triparting of the power in the ruling and the decision making and the I don't know what you say in English, the government that then carries out the decisions. So we have the parliament that is totally responsible for all the laws, making the laws, and we have the judges and the courts that are taking care of finding out if people are not adhering to the laws, and then the government, of course, that are carrying out the laws that will be decided upon. The crown has a very big role in uniting the kingdom. So the queen and her family is very active in including both Greenland and the Faroe Islands in their jobs and their visits. And then the Queen and her family plays a very, very big role for representing Denmark abroad. So they are, to a large extent, not the last year, unfortunately, because of COVID-19, but normally the Queen or the Crown Prince and the Crown Princess would be traveling with large business delegation and opening doors for Danish companies. So they play a very important role in our diplomatic world, also in opening doors for Danish companies. And They, of course, also have a lot of protectorates where they are in front of important organizations like the Red Cross, like other humanitarian organizations, foundations. But they don't have any constitutional power. They don't have any decision power. The decision power is solely on the parliament and the government. And of course, the parliament is elected every fourth year by the Danish population. And it's a direct election of parliamentarians. So I think we can be pretty proud of our democracy and the way we have managed to keep a true democratic country, and at the same time having our queen as our head of state and representing the country in a brilliant fashion, creating a lot of values for Danish companies.
Now, one of our students, we are doing this program both in Instagram and also live at the same time in YouTube. So one of our friends from YouTube, Tuba Ortaç. Tuba, which university you are from? Also, if you can write it down, I'll be happy. She's asking a question that actually all of my students wonders once in a while. I try to ask it to every diplomat. It's not specifically about your country, but the world is changing. Not specifically about the pandemic, but about a lot of different things, right? As a man who gets his education in 90s, still post-Cold War era, we had the effects of Soviets and United States. Even though Soviets collapsed, but still, there's bipolar world, like balance over there. The question of our distinguished student, her name again, Tuba Ortaç, what she asked is, how do you foresee, as a diplomat, the future global order of the world? As I said, this is definitely your personal opinion, she's wondering. And how do you foresee the new balance of power?
Well, first, let me just say that diplomats don't have a personal opinion.
My bad.
Diplomats are sometimes
My bad.
don't have personal opinions. but let me just, 90s. I can definitely relate to what you're saying. And I think the institutions that were founded after the Second World War, United Nations and then the EU, have a fundamental role to play in ensuring that the world order will be stabilized. And I think the elections in the US, with a new president coming in, is, in my personal opinion, the best thing that happened in 2020 to restore world peace and world order, because I think it's been really critical to see how such a big power as the US have estranged themselves from the multilateral organizations and multilateral work. And I don't think any of us are doing. It's not no good for any of us that that's happened. So I do look forward to see what the new president in the US can manage, and I welcome his statement that he will be re-entering the Paris Agreement, and he will be focusing on the green agenda, which of course very much is also along the lines of Denmark, because we do need to take climate change serious, and this is a global effort. And this is a long-term effort. And if you compare that, for example, to my answer to what happened with global cooperation during the pandemic, climate change has been coming and creeping in on us for many years. And we are here in a position to actually really work together, because it has to be a long-term effort, where the pandemic was a sudden attack on our health. And therefore, I think capacity-wise, it was not possible, as I said, for the governments to really do anything else that they did. But I do think that this new regime in the US will help a lot. And I think the Danish government did was to announce that we will be 70% CO2 neutral in 2030. And that is very ambitious. And the Danish government is now, trying to roll that out across, all of Denmark, but also something like the foreign service, like ourselves, we are being asked to be more green in the consulate and introduce, not using plastic bottles. And, I've made a whole new green strategy for the consulate and how we take care of resources. And I think we need to do this for each other globally. And I'm an optimist, I have great faith in global cooperation. I have great faith in the global institutions. And I think it is so important that we all back up around these global institutions. And I do hope that the Turkish government also has this view and will be continuing in a loyal way to support the global institutions that Turkey is part of.
One last quick question. If you give three things, you already mentioned this a little bit, but friends are asking a quick answer. Besides energy, if you say these three things is going to make Turkey-Denmark trade relationship go up, sky high, we should focus on these three things. What would be that three, besides energy issues?
So it's four things, really, because energy is because energy is really important. Water. We are launching a big initiative on water management because we think that there's a huge opportunity to work together across Turkey and Denmark to look at the way water is distributed, the way water is used, to look at wastewater management. And Denmark is in the forefront on these technologies too. We are just now entering into a cooperation with the Turkish Union of Municipalities and Danish institutions on this. So I look very much forward to follow this in 2021. The next one is healthcare. Digital health, I think, is also one of the areas where Denmark is doing really well, and where we can cooperate on ensuring that Turkey will also be state of the art in respect of digital health solutions, especially in times where Corona has taught us that we are vulnerable. If populations in the countrysides are very vulnerable, it becomes super important to introduce telehealth and any kind of digital health solutions that can also be used in these areas. And I think there's a great cooperation here. And the last one I want to mention is agriculture. Especially within fish farming, I think we can see that there could be a role in onshore fish farming between Denmark and Turkey, because Turkey has vast lands and being bred in Turkey. You have Turkish salmon, but that's more like a trout kind of fish. So you import all the salmon from Norway and Denmark. And with these new technologies, you could actually have huge onshore trout or salmon farms and could supply the Turkish market. So those are my three suggestions outside energy, which of course is there and very important to us.
Thank you so much. As usual, today we had a great day. Ambassador of Bangladesh, Consul General of Holland, now my dear friend, Consul General of Denmark, Kingdom of Denmark. By the way, I'm going to just add one last thing. You know why these events, these programs are important? A lot of my students today just said, by the way, they are studying international relations, political science. At least 20 of them wrote me right now while we are speaking. They said, that's the first time I heard that Denmark is a kingdom. So I value these programs a lot because there's a lot of things we don't know about the countries. For example, Greenland being a kingdom, it's good. It's good, these kind of things, because honestly, I'm tired of just focusing on United States politics, just Middle East and even close Middle East or EU politics. There's a huge world. We have to focus on that. And for your help, thank you.